start with one of the very important chapter for final CA, and there will be always a question on this topic, holding and subsidiary. Now, before we start with this particular topic, we are going to do consolidated financial statement. The topic can be called as consolidated financial statement also. Actually, it is a simple topic. It is just adding up two balance sheets, adding up to profit and loss, adding up cash flow statement. That's all. But because of certain adjustments, sometimes the things become complicated. But if a student has a complete control over double entry bookkeeping, उसको अगर बराबर समझता है कि भाई यहाँ डेबिट, वहाँ क्रेडिट, यहाँ ऐड, वहाँ लेस, अगर ये ठीक से करेगा तो दिस टॉपिक कैन बी इंटरेस्टिंग. नाउ बिफोर आई स्टार्ट विथ what is consolidation, etc., let me talk about what is holding company, what is subsidiary company. See, even today, some of you may be receiving annual accounts of limited companies at your home. If you look at the annual accounts of limited companies, maybe Reliance Industries Limited, maybe Larsen and Toubro, if you look at those annual accounts, कोई भी कंपनी ले लो तो इनके company is owning different companies. They are called as subsidiary companies. One parent company and there are many other companies. So when the parent company prepares its annual accounts, they have to show consolidated figures, the group figures. Group figures means their figures plus the figures of other companies taken together. How to prepare those consolidated things, that is what we have to study in this topic. But before I go to that, let us understand what do you mean by holding and what do you mean by subsidiary. The definition is quite simple. Holding company is one which controls another company. Holding company is one which controls another company. And subsidiary is one which is controlled by other. Simple. फिर से एक बार. Holding company is one which controls another company. And subsidiary company is one which is controlled by another company. So, for example, suppose I talk about A Limited and B Limited. A Limited and B Limited. So, these two companies are there in front of us. Okay. One is holding, another is subsidiary. Now, when it will be called as holding, when it will be called as subsidiary, I will come to that. Please don't write. I will show you the PPT presentation. From that you can copy down. Now, what it says, A Limited is holding company if A Limited is a holding company. A Limited को हम holding company बोलेंगे if it controls more than 50% of voting power of B Limited. Of B Limited. अभी वोटिंग पावर कंट्रोल करना मीन्स इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल कंट्रोल करना. अगर बी लिमिटेड का 50% से ज्यादा शेयर कैपिटल, इक्विटी कैपिटल अगर इनके हाथ में है, if this company has invested in the equity shares of B Limited and if this company is owning more than 50% of the shares of B Limited, then A Limited will be called as holding and B Limited will be called as subsidiary. अगर आप 50% से ज्यादा कंट्रोल करते हो, वोटिंग पावर अगर 50% से ज्यादा आपके पास है, 51, 52, 60, 70, 80, then A will be called as holding and B will be called as subsidiary. Another situation where A Limited will be called as Holding company is, it controls composition of board of directors. Composition of B Limited's board of directors. बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स, बीओडी, बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स. यानी बी लिमिटेड में किसको डायरेक्टर अपॉइंट करने का, किसको निकाल देने का, who should be asked to resign, who should be reappointed, who should be appointed. If that is done by A Limited, then A will be called as holding company. So here I am talking about voting power. Here I am, first case I am talking about shares, equity shares held by A Limited. Second situation, I am not talking about equity share. I may not be having equity share. I may not be holding shares of this company, but I may be having some arrangement. I may be having some understanding. I may be having some agreement with B Limited. और बी लिमिटेड का बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स का पूरा कंपोजिशन मेरे हाथ में है. बी लिमिटेड में किसको रखना है, किसको नहीं रखना है, अगर ये मैं डिसाइड करता हूं तो आई विल बी कॉल्ड एज होल्डिंग कंपनी एंड बी लिमिटेड विल बी कॉल्ड एज सब्सिडियरी. एंड वन मोर सिचुएशन, दे हैव सेड थ्री थिंग्स. कंट्रोल किसको माना जाएगा? अगर आपके पास वोटिंग पावर है तो कंट्रोल माना जाएगा, अगर आप डायरेक्टर्स को अपॉइंट करते हो तो कंट्रोल माना जाएगा. और थर्ड सिचुएशन, A Limited controls B Limited and B Limited controls C Limited. A is controlling shares of B. A has invested in B Limited and B Limited has invested in C Limited. A doesn't have shares in C Limited directly, but still, in that case, A Limited is holding company for B and C. If you are holding shares in another company which in turn invest in third company, then that second company and third company both will be considered as subsidiary and you will be considered as holding company. So a company will be called as holding company. Number one, if you are holding voting power more than 50%. Number two, you have a control over the board of directors of the other company. And number three, you are holding of a company which again is holding shares in another company. So in three situations, your company is called as a holding company. And if A Limited is holding company, if A Limited is holding company, it must prepare consolidated financial statement. Consolidated financial statement. CFS. Consolidated financial statement.